body directed DMV to begin offering optional Real ID driver's licenses and ID cards. Real ID, to remind you, is a federal law that creates standards for states to issue such credentials. And one of those requirements, among many, for a Real ID is to prove lawful status in the United States. DMV will begin offering this optional credential in July of 2020. And at that point, Oregonians will have a choice of a standard credential or a Real ID credential. Now, House Bill 2015, which has an operative date of January 1 of 2021, so about 6 months after Real ID DMV begins to issue Real IDs. Primarily, the bill removes one main requirement from the criteria to obtain a driver's license or an ID card, and that is proof of legal presence. A subset of that has to do with Social Security numbers. Social Security numbers need to be proved if you have one. If you do not have a Social Security number, you attest that you do not. That's a small verbiage change from current law, which states that you would sign a statement that you are not eligible for a Social Security number. Under the bill, beginning, again, 6 months after Real ID issuances begin, customers will come in, they will prove their identity, they are who they say they are, their date of birth, their Social Security number, or a statement that they've not been issued one, and proof of Oregon residency. Now, this is for a Class C license to drive a passenger vehicle. I want to be clear that commercial driver's licenses and commercial driving permits are tightly controlled by federal regulation. Oregon law is today and would remain under House Bill 2015 compliant with regulations of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and that includes regulations around legal presence. Now, questions have arisen around automatic voter registration, also known by some as motor voter. Recall that in 2016, this body created automatic voter registration, whereby DMV sends data to the Elections Division of the Secretary of State's office so that Secretary of State can provide people the opportunity to opt out of registration, but Secretary of State's office takes care of that registration function. So today, based on a driver's license or ID card transaction, DMV sends to the Elections Division of Secretary of State the data on a customer whose age and U.S. citizenship status makes them eligible to register to vote. Today, DMV only sends the data of U.S. citizens to Secretary of State, and there are plenty of driver's license and ID card applicants whose data is not sent, for example, lawful permanent U.S. residents, because they don't meet the criteria. Under House Bill 2015, automatic voter registration remains essentially the same. Those Real ID customers who are citizens will have to show proof of their citizenship.